Hey guys, welcome back to the Guitar Max channel. So if you have been watching the channel for a while, you are probably well aware that I am a big fan of the Jackson JS series guitars. That white Rhodes V, which is hanging right back there, that's the JS series, JS32 series Jackson Rhodes that I bought used for $220, and I did a series of videos where I upgraded it. Came out great. And I've had many other of the JS series Jacksons, really budget-friendly, entry-level sort of Jackson guitars. But in this video, as you can probably already guess, I'm going to check out a JS series bass from Jackson. Now, specifically, this is the JS3Q concert bass from Jackson. And really, this is an extremely affordable bass guitar that's perfect for rock and metal styles. Now, you might see a few scuffs and dings on this one because I bought this used. And I would even say this is pretty heavily used, but it still works great. Now, when these basses are brand new, they cost around $350. There are some slightly simpler finish ones where they have like a satin finish on them. Those are about $300. And then there's even another bass, which is not the concert series, but just the JS series Jackson basses, and those go for around $250. But the JS3 concert bass has the active EQ electronics, and that's kind of why I recommend this one over the slightly less expensive other bass. Okay, so I'm going to do a review of this bass, but the other thing that I want to do is follow up on the Hot Tone Ampero amp modeler video that I did a few weeks ago. Now, the Ampero is a sort of hot shot like multi-effects and amplifier modeler board, and I did a review of that a while back where I checked out all the different guitar stuff on it. But what's really cool about that is it's not just for electric guitar, but it has a bunch of acoustic guitar stuff and even bass guitar. So now that I'm reviewing this bass, I'm going to use the Ampero for the demo section in this video so you guys can hear how those bass amp models sound. Okay, so before we get into the specs of this bass, I got to mention how great of a deal you can sometimes find on these basses on the used market. I bought this one off of eBay used for $140. Now that's an exceptionally good price for this bass, and like I said before, this bass is pretty heavily used. It's got a bunch of little dings and scuffs on it, and somebody has swapped on these super cool skull knobs here. Makes it extra metal. But even if you just get an average price for one of these basses on the used market, like maybe you're on eBay or Reverb, or you're searching around the Guitar Center used inventory, I'm sure you can find one of these basses for well under $300. And I think that, assuming you get one that's in decent condition, I think this might be the best, most affordable bass that's well suited for rock and metal. Okay, so let's check out the specs here. So the body on this is poplar. Of course, it has a maple neck. Now, the newer models have an amaranth fretboard, although this is an older model and this has rosewood. But if you buy a new one, it's going to have an amaranth fretboard. Now, it's got 24 frets. It's a 34-inch scale length. And when it comes to the pickups, you've got two Jackson-branded humbucker bass pickups here. Now, you got two volume controls, and you can mix these. So there's no pickup selector switch, but you just adjust the different volume controls. You know, there's one volume for this pickup, one volume for that pickup, so you can adjust how much you want to mix the different pickups. Now, these three knobs down here, even though obviously two of these look different because of these super cool skull knobs that are on here, but the three knobs on the bottom, this is the active EQ section. There's in this compartment back here, there's a battery in here. And what these do is basically right in the sort of the center, there's a little detent here so you can feel it when it gets into the center position. And then you can either boost it or cut it depending on how you turn it either up or down from that center position. And of course, you've got treble, middle, and bass. Also, the width of the nut down here is 42 millimeters. Now that's a little bit wider than some of the other bass necks that are on the market. I mean, it's not strangely wide or anything like that, but what's cool about it being 42 millimeters is that is also the same width as a lot of electric guitars. So the neck is going to feel similar in terms of the thickness and the width and everything. It's just you have 4 strings instead of 6. Okay, so let's go ahead and plug this thing in and listen to how it sounds. And again, guys, for this demo, I'm going to be using the Hot-Tone Ampero amp modeler so you guys can hear how those different bass amps sound in there. Now, real quick guys, if you enjoy videos like this, checking out cool, affordable guitars, and you have not already subscribed, please consider subscribing right now. Okay, let's go ahead and plug this in and listen to how it sounds. Okay guys, so let's talk a little bit about the playability of this bass. I really like the feel of this. Again, it's very easy for me to transition from playing a guitar to playing this bass because the neck feels so similar to a guitar neck. But again, you just have these, 4 big strings instead of 6 skinny ones. Now, I'm no Victor Wooten, okay? I'm not a super strong bass player. So I'm sorry I couldn't do like slap technique or anything like that for you guys. But playing with either your fingers or with a pick, one thing I really like about this bass is that it has a very snappy kind of sound to it. And it does have, you can, if you really push it, like you use a lot of strength in your right hand or you hit the strings really hard with the pick, you get that sort of rattly kind of growl from the bass, which I really like the sound of, and especially if you're going to play metal or rock stuff, that's generally sort of the tone you want. But it's the rattle without the sort of fret buzz kind of noise, if you know what I'm talking about. Now, obviously, depending on the style of music you're playing, you're going to want to get a different tone out of the bass. And one thing that I like, especially with the active EQ section, is you can really get a really wide variety of sounds from this bass. I think for a lot of metal and like power metal, that kind of stuff, I like a bass tone that really sort of fills up the low end of the song and is less percussive, if that makes sense. But obviously, if you're playing something like, you know, like a slap technique or something like that, where you want a really percussive sound that's going to have more high end, so it really cuts through and jumps out, you can get that too just by adjusting the EQ down here. Now, the other thing I have to mention is, you know, I'm a bit vain and I care about looks, and this is a cool looking bass. Now, like I said, there are some simpler colors like a satin black and so forth that you can get for like $50 off the standard sale price. But they've got this one, which is sort of a kind of like a black flame top. I'm sure it's a maple veneer. But they also have like a blue one, and they even have like a nice orange burst if you want something that's a little bit more eye-catching. You know, you want to play your winger covers. But yeah, with the classic Jackson looks and that pointed headstock, I mean, it's a great looking bass. Also, guys, this bass balances very nicely. There's quite a bit of weight in the body, so it does help keep the neck up. Neck dive is something I really don't like on guitars, and I hate it when it comes to basses because basses weigh more. So if you have neck dive problems on a bass, it's really, you know, really a hassle to keep holding up the neck when you're playing standing up. Now, as far as the overall weight, I weighed this bass. This one came in at 9.6 pounds, so a little bit under 10 pounds. You know, 9 to 10 is probably going to be the range that these basses come in. Okay, so now let's talk about the Hotone Ampero amp modeler. Now, obviously, they didn't have as many bass options as they do for electric guitars, but the ones they had on there, they all, to me, sounded really good, and they did have a nice variety also. And keep in mind that you've got a huge array of effects on that board. So if you want to add like a bass flanger or an envelope filter or something like that, all that stuff is in there, and that can be added on to the existing bass amp models. I think for musicians that wear a lot of different hats, that board is going to be really good, because I'm thinking of somebody that maybe plays in a wedding band, or they do a lot of one-off gigs where they're maybe filling in for somebody else, and you have to be able to play guitar or bass or acoustic or whatever else. You know, you can use that board for all of those different instruments, and you can have all your patches and stuff saved in there ready to go. So you just choose the instrument that you need for that night, or the instruments, something, show up with just the one board, and then that'll take care of all of your needs for effects and amplifiers. That's pretty cool. Okay, guys, but I have a couple questions for you. One is, would you like me to review more basses? I needed a new bass for some stuff I'm working on, and so I grabbed this one, and it's been really cool. So of course I wanted to do a review on it for you guys, you know, since I already have it. But if you guys would like me to check out more bass stuff in the future, please let me know in the comments section below. Now, the other question I have is for anybody who owns one of these basses out there. How do you guys like them? What do you guys think about them? What has your ownership experience been like? Okay, guys, as always, I will have links for everything I was talking about in the video down in the video description below. I will also have a link down there for my instructional programs and my social media. Thanks a ton for watching. If you guys enjoyed the video, please give me a thumbs up, subscribe if you haven't already, and I'll see you soon.